Press play to listen to this article by Matthew Karnitschnig with ZOYA SHEFTALOVICH, presented by UNESDA. Soft Drinks Europe sent tips here. Tweeted Florianator. Listen to today's playbook and view in your browser. Alert from Trumpland, US. President Donald Trump is considering imposing 25% tariffs on foreign autos, according to multiple media reports overnight. At Trump's request, the Commerce Department on Wednesday launched an investigation into the national threat of imported automobiles, trucks and auto parts, the first step toward imposing the tariffs. Doug Palmer and Ben White have the full details. The move to impose car tariffs, which Trump hinted at in a tweet, would be a massive blow for Germany's luxury car makers. For what it's worth, he has made similar threats on trade in the past, only to back down. Guten Morgen from Berlin. I'm Matt Karnitschnig, Politico's chief Europe correspondent, and I'll be shepherding Playbook and Narrator's absence today and Friday. You can reach me at @mkarnitschnig. A message from UNESDA. Soft Drinks Europe. The European soft drinks industry supports over 1.7 million jobs in the EU and 26.7 billion euros in salary payments. See here for our latest socio-economic report. Battles and threats. Brexit. Star Wars. There is growing fury in London at what is being seen as Brussels' uncompromising stance in negotiations over the EU's Galileo satellite navigation project, which the British government considers a test case for how close the UK's future security relationship with the continent will be. Britain will publish a punchy, official paper today that will double down on the government's threat to set up a rival system, Tom McTague reports. Get out your credit cards. One of the UK government's proposed models for a new customs arrangement with the EU would cost British businesses up to £20 billion a year, according to the head of the UK tax authority. Charlie Cooper has the full story. Bring in clowns. Fellini's classic mockumentary is expected to see a surge in popularity in the coming days as the unlikely pairing of Italy's populist five-star movement and the far-right League assumes control of the EU's soon-to-be third-largest country. The two parties took a big step toward taking power on Wednesday as President Sergio Mattarella asked their candidate for PM, Giuseppe Conte, to form a government. Described by League Duce Matteo Salvini as an expert in simplification. Conte is a lawyer by trade, though his precise bona fides remain iffy. According to the New York Times, Conte is a dapper 54-year-old civil law professor with a taste for cufflinks and white pocket kerchiefs. In addition, he has a long resume working for Roman law firms and associating with top-ranking Vatican cardinals, and he's short. Conte's hardest task will be keeping the motley populist political pairing together. In his spare time, he's expected to fulfill the coalition's promises to renegotiate the terms of Italy's massive debt, the role of the European Commission in Rome's affairs and, should time permit, the EU treaty. As they say on the boot, no problemo. Europeans love Eurosceptics, while support for the EU is now at its highest in years. According to a new survey, Europeans also love the anti-establishment parties shaking up politics in the bloc. The findings leave the door open for a strong Eurosceptic and anti-establishment showing in the 2019 European election. Read more about the survey results here, and Ryan Heath lays out the 4 biggest risks for the election here. Greek threats. One lesson veteran watchers of Greek politics and crises in recent years have learned is to expect the unexpected. Wednesday's example came in the form of a threat against opposition leader Kyriakos Mitsotakis by a group of leftist vandals called Rubicones, or Rubicon. Whatever we have to say to Mitsotakis we will say to him up close and very soon, a leading member of the group wrote on Facebook, Katha Marini reports. Mitsotakis responded that the taunts will not intimidate us, and blamed the ruling leftist Syriza party, which denied any involvement. Mitsotakis should be concerned. In Greece, threats of political violence are often not idle. On Saturday, Thessaloniki mayor Yanis Boutaris was attacked by a nationalist mob, sending him to the hospital. Other Greek threats. Greece's creditors agree it's time to end the country's bailout program, but they're concerned about giving Athens the full freedom they have given other countries that went through a similar process, reports BRK Smith-Meyer. Unblocked. Donald Trump is violating individuals' constitutional rights by blocking them from his personal Twitter account, a U.S. court ruled on Wednesday. ****, watch live Monday, May 28 at 10:45 a.m. Set. Politico's exclusive interview with Nicola Sturgeon, First Minister of Scotland. Politico's political editor, Ryan Heath, will sit down with the First Minister to discuss the prospect of Scottish independence, how the Brexit talks are going, and the Scottish Parliament withholding support for the EU withdrawal bill. For more information, visit our website, ****. Deutschland dispatch. Trouble at Deutsche Bank, Germany's largest bank, sank deeper into turmoil on Wednesday following a report that new CEO Christian Sewing planned to cut 10,000 employees, or 1/10 of its workforce. Deutsche's Wall Street rivals have long compared the German lender to a giant hedge fund, a parallel Berlin was never comfortable with. Just how involved Angela Merkel's government has been in guiding the process isn't yet clear, but layoffs of this magnitude wouldn't happen without Berlin's blessing. By the looks of it, the hedge fund is now being unwound, with the investment banking division expected to be hardest hit by the layoffs. Further details are expected today at the bank's general meeting. The WSJ's Jenny Strasberg has the scoop. Merkel's OSTPOLITIK, the German leader, is on her 11th official visit to China, a two-day trip that will take her to Beijing, where she will have dinner with President Xi Jinping, followed by a dash to Shenzhen. She has a large business delegation, 18 company CEOs, in tow, underscoring China's status as Germany's largest trading partner. Yet the question of how to deal with the tariff threat from the U.S. The largest export market for both Germany and China is expected to top the agenda. German angst. Nearly 75% of German elites are worried about Trump's stance on trade, according to a fresh survey of some 500 political and business movers and shakers. About 70% worry about their country's growing dependence on China. At the same time, more than 80% say the opportunities in China outweigh the risks. Translation: Germans are antsy as ever. What Germans aren't worried about? I asked around. Some responses to my unscientific poll so far: Russia, defense spending, manners, the World Cup and deodorant. More German angst. Turns out German economics professors are the most jittery of all. An open letter from 154 of them this week. We mentioned it in Tuesday's Playbook, in which they play both Macron's and Juncker's proposals for European reform, offers an insight into why the hoped for Eurozone reform isn't likely to get much traction. Their main objection to ideas such as a deposit insurance or a European Monetary Fund can be summed up as a moral hazard. Putting aside the irony of Germans worrying about a moral hazard in others, the impact of the letter in the Frankfurter Allgemeine, the voice of Germany's conservative establishment, shouldn't be underestimated. While the letter surprised some foreign economists, it probably shouldn't have. Germany's alternate universe explained, to understand why so much of the German establishment doesn't really care what the rest of Europe thinks when it comes to how they run their economy, look no further than this helpful FT graphic. Mr. I am not convinced. Joschka Fischer, the former German foreign minister famous for opposing the Iraq War, is back in rare form, opining about the collapse of the Iran deal, John Bolton and how the U.S. invented German democracy. Bannon ranting, fired Trump aide Steve Bannon has resumed his European tour, grabbing headlines with increasingly eccentric claims about his former boss. Martin Luther King would be proud of him, and far-right bet nor Angela Merkel. The German leader will go down in history as the worst German political figure of the 21st century, Bannon told an audience in Prague. At least he got the century right. Gaslighting diplomacy. European Commission Vice President for the Energy Union Maros Sefcovic invited Russia and Ukraine for another round of trilateral talks, in an effort to preserve the transit fees Moscow pays Kiev for transporting its gas to the rest of Europe. You're invited. Join us on June 7th at Politico's event, Research in Public Policy, Transparent, Responsible and Impartial, presented by Bayer, for a frank discussion on the importance of transparency and independence to increase trust in research and decision-making. The event will start with an interview of Carlos Moedas, European Commissioner for Science, Research and Innovation, followed by a panel discussion, featuring high-level speakers from the worlds of policy, research and civil society. Register here. Tech Corner. France's little rocket man. A day after his bizarre visit to the European Parliament, Facebook honcho Mark Zuckerberg spent a rare second consecutive day in a suit as he joined about 50 other CEOs, including Microsoft's Satya Nadella and SAP's Bill McDermott, at a meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron on Wednesday. Macron was pushing his "That's moonshot" for a lot of people, but it seems that moonshot is your speciality. Nicholas Finneker has the write-up. GDPR losers. Lawrence Aroulis and Mark Scott take a look at who stands to lose from the EU's incoming General Data Protection Regulation. Spoiler alert, data brokers, car makers, pharma and healthcare companies are all on the hit list. Uber CEO interview. Mark Scott sat down with Dara Khosrowshahi in Amsterdam to discuss his mission to clean up the company's act. Le Personnel moving. Natalia Drozdiak will leave the Wall Street Journal and join Bloomberg from June 4th as a tech reporter based in Brussels. HT Victoria Main, leaving. Breitbart's London editor, Raheem Kassam, has left the company, according to The Atlantic. Awarded. The European Business Summit on Wednesday announced the winners of its first European Leadership Awards. Emmanuel Macron is European Leader of the Year. Polish entrepreneur Edyta Kosik is CEO of the Year. Full list here. The summit concludes today. Program here. Birthdays. Natalie Griesbeck and Julia Mwa MEPs. Uzbekistan PM Abdullah Aripov. And the European Economic and Social Committee turns the Big 6-0. A message from UNESDA. Soft drinks. Europe. The European soft drinks industry is rooted in the European economy. Its value chain is worth €185 billion, equivalent to 1.24% of EU GDP. It generates a revenue for the industries in its value chain that is 2.5 times greater than it receives itself. It also delivers almost €30 billion in tax contributions to EU member countries. Explore our latest socio-economic report here. Subscribe to the Politico newsletter family. Brussels Playbook, London Playbook, Sunday Crunch, Brussels Influence, DC Playbook, all our Politico pro-policy morning newsletters.